You should pay special attention to what you're focused on because whatever it is, you're going to get more of it. Your focus is not just what gets your attention. Your focus is your way of teaching your mind what to look for, and that matters. So I ask you, what are you focused on? If you keep focusing on what's wrong, your mind will keep finding more of what's wrong. If you keep focusing on why something can't be done, your mind will keep finding reasons it can't be done. If you keep focusing on the obstacles will start looking bigger than the options. That's where many people get trapped, not because there are no possibilities, but because they've trained themselves to stop seeing them. So, yes, the question isn't only what are you focused on, it's also is your focus helping you see the wonderful, incredible things that are possible? Or is your focus making your life smaller? Welcome to the Way of Permanent Transformation. My name is Stanley Bronstein. Today we're talking about concept number 5 from the Way of Excellence, focusing on the possible. And this concept is much bigger than simply saying stop being negative. That's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. The deeper purpose of this concept is to expand your thinking, to expand what you're willing to see, and then to focus your time, energy, attention, standards, and actions in that direction. Until number 5 from the system says, until we start focusing on the wonderful things that are possible and stop focusing on the negative things that are holding us back, we will never achieve our maximum potential and evolve as a species. Notice the order. It doesn't only say stop focusing on the negative, it says start focusing on the wonderful things that are possible. That's important because if all you ever do is try to stop negative thinking, empty space isn't going to be enough. You need a better focus. You need a better picture. You need a better direction. You need something worth moving toward. Possibility gives your mind a door. And once you see the door, you can begin walking toward it. Many people live inside a very small field of possibility. They say things that sound reasonable. It's too late. I missed my window. That's not for me. I've tried before. That works for other people. I don't have what it takes. I'm too old. I'm too far behind. My body can't change. My habits can't change. My future is probably going to look like my past. Those statements may sound practical and may sound realistic, but many times they're not reality. They're fear dressed up as wisdom. They're old disappointment pretending to be truth. They're limitations repeated so many times that they start to feel like facts. And once those thoughts take root, they do something very dangerous. They shrink your life before you even begin. This is why focus matters so much. Law number 5 from the system is the law of focus. It says, whatever we focus our attention on expands in our lives. If one focuses on positives, then positives will occur in their life. If one focuses on negatives, then negatives will occur in one's life. Consequently, the ability to positively focus on the most important task at hand is the key to success. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean every bad thing in your life is your fault. It doesn't mean you can magically think your way into a perfect life. It doesn't mean you should pretend problems don't exist. The way of excellence doesn't ask you to deny reality. It asks you to deal with reality more wisely. And one of the wisest things you can do is to stop making the obstacle the center of your attention because your life moves in the direction of your focus. What you focus on shapes what you notice. What you notice shapes what you think about. What you think about shapes what you feel. What you feel shapes what you do. and what you do shapes what becomes possible. Focus isn't small, focus is a force. When you focus only on what can't be done, your mind starts shutting doors. When you focus only on what went wrong, your mind keeps replaying the past. When you focus only on what you fear, your mind starts confusing caution with paralysis. When you focus only on limits, your mind stops searching for options. And when your mind stops searching for options, possibility disappears. Not because possibility is gone, but because you're no longer looking in its direction. That's why we must expand our thoughts. We must expand what we're willing to consider. We must ask bigger questions, not fantasy questions, not denial questions, grounded, responsible, powerful questions. What else could be true? What if more is possible than I've allowed myself to believe? What if my past isn't my ceiling? What if my current condition isn't my final condition? What if my habits can change? What if my health can improve? What if my energy can return? What if my purpose can deepen? What if my relationships can heal? What if my life can become more disciplined, more peaceful, more useful, more excellent? What if wonderful, incredible, fantastic things are possible, but I've been too focused on limitation to see them? That's not wishful thinking. That's possibility thinking. And there's a big difference. Wishful thinking says, I hope something changes. Possibility thinking says, what can I do to help create change? Wishful thinking waits. Possibility thinking acts. Wishful thinking avoids reality. Possibility thinking starts with reality and asks, what can be built from here? That's the key. Reality isn't the finish line. Reality is the starting line. Where you are right now may be true, but it's not necessarily final. Your current habits may be true. Your current health may be true. Your current frustration may be true. But none of that automatically means it's permanent. It becomes more likely to remain permanent when you focus on it as if it is permanent. So be careful. Don't turn your current condition into your lifelong prediction. Don't turn a difficult season into your permanent identity. Don't turn an old failure into the boundary of your future. Don't turn I haven't done it yet into I can't do it. That's how possibility gets buried. Focusing on the possible means training your mind to become a builder instead of a barrier. A builder looks at a problem and asks, what can be done? What is one option I haven't considered? What is within my control? What is one step I can take today? What would a person of possibility do next? Those questions change your energy, posture, and direction. They don't remove every problem, but they return you to movement. And movement matters because possibility grows when you move toward it. You may not see the whole path. You may not know exactly how everything will unfold. You may not feel ready or confident, but you don't need to see the entire staircase to take the next step. You only need to see enough to begin. And sometimes the act of beginning is what reveals the next possibility. I want you to think about the phrase, the wonderful things that are possible. Not the ordinary things, not the acceptable things, not the barely tolerable things, not just getting by. The wonderful things, the incredible things, the fantastic things, the things that make life expand, the things that remind you that your life may still have more room in it than you thought. More growth, more strength, more health, more wisdom, more love, more discipline, more peace, more excellence. Maybe the possibility is becoming free from a pattern that has owned you for years. Maybe it's becoming responsible with what you already have. Maybe it's becoming someone you respect. Maybe it's changing the way you show up in your own home. Don't make possibility smaller than it is. Sometimes the most wonderful possibility isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's deeply practical: a stronger body, a clearer mind, a calmer spirit, a more honest life, a promise kept, a standard raised, a future no longer ruled by the past. Here's where this becomes practical. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to your attention. When you catch yourself focusing on what's wrong, pause and ask, what else is possible here? When you catch yourself saying, I can't, ask, if I could, how would I begin? When you catch yourself obsessing over the obstacle, ask, what's one option I haven't considered? When you catch yourself replaying the past, ask, what future am I willing to build from here? And when you catch yourself shrinking your life with old assumptions, ask, is this actually true? Or is this just a limitation I've repeated so often that I've started believing it? Then choose one wonderful possibility, not 10, one. Choose one thing that would make your life better, stronger, healthier, wiser, or more excellent. Write it down, then give it one action today: one walk, one healthy meal, one hard conversation, one honest apology, 1 hour of focused work, one decision, one plan, one step. Because possibility doesn't become real because you think about it once. Possibility becomes real when you focus on it, feed it, and act in its direction. Benefit number 5 from the way of excellence is living in a world without negativity. It says, by incorporating law number 5, the law of focus, into our lives, we will be creating a society that focuses on the positive things that are possible and one that stops focusing on the negative things that hold us back. That kind of society doesn't begin somewhere far away. It begins in individual minds. It begins when one person stops worshiping obstacles. It begins when one person stops calling their life impossible. It begins when one person expands their thinking and says, maybe there's more. Maybe I'm capable of more. Maybe this isn't the end of the story. Maybe the door I forgot was there is still there. And maybe today is the day I start walking toward it. So I'll ask you again, what are you focused on? Is your focus helping you see the wonderful, incredible, fantastic things that are possible? Or is your focus making your life smaller? This week, do 2 things. First, stop feeding one thought, habit, distraction, or fear that's holding you back. Second, start feeding one possibility that would make your life more excellent. Give it attention, give it energy, give it action. Because what you focus on expands. And when you expand what you believe is possible, you expand the direction of your life. That's the way of permanent transformation. If this message speaks to you, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. New videos are released on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can learn more or contact me on my website, thewayofexcellence.com.